The street friends. My name is Anna Guse, and I am one of the co-facilitators at the Hilltop YMCA, along with Emma Cobb and Mariah Flagler. And today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what our experience has been like and what it's like to be at this exciting stage in this semester. I was actually thinking, as I was getting ready to do this vlog, that in my opinion, it's one of the most perfect times in the semester to sit down and try to verbally process what this experience has been like, because we're at this really interesting moment in time where we've done these workshops, these theater workshops that have with the Hilltop YMCA group that have been really focused on generating content based on gestural and verbal modes of storytelling that is coming from the participants themselves. But now we're at this point where we have all of this amazing content and so much has been shared with us. And now we're something like 16 days away from, or something like that, 17 days away from the sharing at the Steam Factory on April 13th. And so it's this cool, exciting, kind of scary time in this process of bringing those two things together, of bringing all this great content that's been generated from the group itself and saying, okay, now we got to make something that we're going to be ready to share in just a couple weeks. So just to give a little bit of background on the group that Emma and I facilitate with the help of Mariah, we go to the YMCA in the Hilltop community, which is super near the Our Lady of Guadalupe Center and a little further away from the Hilltop Library, the Hilltop branch of the Columbus Library, but still pretty close because they're in the same neighborhood. We go every week on Tuesdays from 1 to 2:30, and we have a very consistent group of nine people from the senior community in the Hilltop, or who feel connection to the Hilltop. And a lot of them have been coming to the YMCA for a long time, and a lot of them were a part of Be the Street last year, so they have a lot more experience than those of us facilitating do with the Be the Street program. And that's been a super exciting thing to see in terms of them just jumping in, and whether or not they were a part of the process last year or not, this very quick, very very welcoming and understanding atmosphere. Like when we would bring things to them, we're gonna do this activity today. So I was like, yeah, sure, great. And we get questions, and that's awesome. But it's really lovely to have people who already have a really strong impulse to tell stories and to share space with one another and to listen to one another. So that's been an awesome thing to see. Throughout the process, like I said, we did a lot of exercises that were meant to generate content from the group, and to figure out what's important to them and the kinds of things that they want to talk about, and that they want to have, that they want to communicate in their sharing activity on April 13th. And so, we've done exercises that focus on, tell us basically the story of your life, and in 5 major points in your life, 5 gestures that evoke that for you. We've done story circles, which we all sat around in a circle, and we decided on this theme. Emma and I decided on this theme of being rocked in what it means to be rocked in life. And we said to the participants, do with that what you will, and see if you can tell us a story about it. And they all did, and it was amazing. So that's just a sample of the kind of work that's been going on. Our group is really great at both verbal and gestural storytelling. And when I mean gestural storytelling, I do mean literally physically using the body to evoke some meaning. And something that Emma and I have kind of struggled with, and continue to struggle with, and also continue to struggle with communicating our struggle with, is the balance between like representational gestures, like things that look literal, like literally doing, acting out an activity from somebody's life, and more abstract. Um, that's a really difficult artistic skill to hone. Even for me, as a person who's a theater person, I still really struggle to think of things and then take them into the abstract. Um, and say, I'm thinking of this time. I'm thinking of my college graduation. And it's really hard for me if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, Anna, make a gesture that means your college graduation to you." I would pretty quickly be like, "Oh, well, here's my diploma, and here's my hat, and here's me shaking the hand." But so that's a more representational example. But I personally struggle with, okay, but like, how do I do that? That might not be so literal. And so, that's a difficult thing to do. And Emma and I have recognized that. And we've also had to kind of go ride this tension of um, when do we push the representational and when do we push the abstract, and is it appropriate to push either one, or do we let that be led by the group? So that's one tension that we've been working with, one challenge we've been working with. But again, the group is really understanding of that, and they're just great at asking questions. Like if they are, if we do communicate something in a not great way, um, they don't just um, they don't just sit in frustration. They're good at letting us know. And that's been a really good exercise for me as a facilitator and as a theater artist, to really just be asked to explain myself more. And to be able to put things into words. Like, I feel like often, I read these texts, these theoretical texts, or I write these facilitation plans, and I'm like, yeah, makes total sense. But then if somebody asks me to like really synthesize what I mean by it, it's difficult. And so this whole process has been really great in terms of teaching me how to do that, in term like by baptismal by fire, basically saying like, well, you got to explain it because you've got 9 people in front of you. Yeah, so that's been an interesting tension to work with. So I also want to tell you about like where we are right now, where the YMCA is right now. And excuse me, Emma and I on Tuesday, we had what we call a treatment plan, which is really just a fancy word meaning that we had a plan written out that of what we think the performance might look like, and we presented it to the group. And I don't really want to give too much of it away in case you're watching this before the performance. If you're in the YMCA group, you know what we presented to you, but otherwise, you'll just have to watch. You'll just have to come and see. But that was an interesting task to do. So a couple weeks before that, before spring break, which was the week of March 8th through 15th or something like that, Emma and I sat down with Mariah and we were like, okay, what's next? Because we'd had all of these awesome workshops where we generate content. And at some point, Emma and I looked at each other. We're like, "Oh, we have a sharing in a few weeks, and we actually need to start rehearsing something." And so we had a pretty long sit down conversation with Mariah and said, "Hey, can you give us some advice? Like we have heard all of these amazing things from the group, and the group has been generating such amazing content, storytelling content. How do we bring something to them and say, how about this for a performance?" And it was kind of overwhelming for me. Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I kind of did like a lot of this in the meeting, like, how's this gonna happen? Like, this is kind of difficult. But Mariah told us about this really cool thing called the double diamond, which is basically, I'm probably explaining this totally wrong, but the way I understand it is you have all this content, like, whew, everybody's told these amazing stories, and they've, done all these amazing movement pieces, and that light is bothering me, so I'm going to move it. Okay. Done all these amazing movement pieces, and so we've got all this content. At some point, we got to hone in on something. And that's what the performance should be, is this. But before we did that, we had to say, okay, all this content we have, what are some themes we've got? So we came up with some themes, and then we say, how can we, create like assignments that the group can do that is built on these themes, so we've got almost more content to work with, but that's more focused on what may become a performance plan. And then we took all those assignments, and then we went, whoop, here's our performance plan. So this is the double diamond, and I've been thinking about that a lot in terms of the personal stress about, you know, the YMCA group having entrusted all these amazing stories to Emma and I, and wanting to do them justice. And also, it's like difficult for me as a young theater artist who I don't like identify really primarily as a director. I don't really identify primarily as an actor. I'm a more behind the scenes gal than that. But I really need to be better about trusting myself and knowing that I do have artistic skills, whether or not I recognize them. I do have a theater degree, and I'm getting another theater degree, and I need to trust Emma that she has an incredible background in theater, and community engaged work, and we really need to trust each other and trust ourselves and know that we have the knowledge and we have the tools to to be at the point where we say, let's come up with an aesthetic. And for me, I have trouble moving. Well, I hesitate to say moving, but I have trouble. I guess I have. Well, I remember. So when in undergrad, I took a directing class, and I had to do a reflection at the end, and at the reflection, because I did like a 10-minute play, and it was horrible. I was very bad at it, and I was like, I can't direct people. So in my reflection, I was like, thanks for this class. It was awesome. You're an awesome professor. Nobody should ever let me direct ever again, because I don't like telling people what to do. And so I'm at this point where we have to move on, where Emma and I do have to make an aesthetic intervention, if you want to call it that. I kind of have to say, okay, Anna, be a director, whether or not you think you are, and trust that your group has generated enough amazing stuff that basically whatever you direct is going to be representational and respectful of their voices and their stories, and is going to be supportive of that. So I guess that's the update for now. We're these next couple of weeks will be rehearsal. Emma and I are going to work on like making a rehearsal plan as opposed to a facilitation plan, which will be different. We're going to come in and say, okay, we're basically done creating new stuff, which is a weird switch to flip, but we're basically done creating new stuff. And we're gonna hone this thing, and I know the group's ready to do that. So I trust them completely, and I need whatever stress that anybody's feeling, because it can be a little stressful, like in the rehearsal process. So you're like, oh, like, if somebody's a performer or a participant, there's like, oh, well, I've gotten kind of the impression that some people are a little stressed by that. And I just want to reiterate that I'm just like blown away every day. Like as much as I feel stressed about myself and like what I'm doing, every time I walk into the room, the YMCA, I'm like, these people are amazing and they're doing amazing things and they're all theater artists and it's fantastic. So I feel no stress about the group. Like I really want to clarify. I don't feel any stress about the group because they're just so open and so lovely, and I know they're excited and ready to do things. So I'm kind of leaning on that, and I'm leaning on Emma to kind of get through these stressors. And even though it is stressful, like I said, it's super exciting. And I was telling Emma, I'm getting like a little emotional, to be perfectly honest, because like when you spend a lot of time with people, I mean, in the theater world, we call it the post-show blues. Like when you spend a lot of time with people, like making art, you get really connected and you get really invested in each other and each other's lives. And I'm not looking forward to saying see you later to everybody. But I am really looking forward to um, sharing what we've sharing our process with you all on April 13th. Plug. So yeah, that's my update for today. Thanks for watching. It's probably longer than I expected it to be, but check out the other blog post on the Be the Street website. And follow us on social media accounts to learn more about what's going on and the exciting work that everybody's doing. Bye.